Morning, good evening, Assalamu alaikum, namaste. Welcome to Knowledge Management Awareness Week, Day 5. Firstly, I want to thank each of you who have supported me constantly. And also I want to thank all the readers who have been providing great feedback and also overwhelming sales of the book. Thank you very much. Now, moving to this day's topic is about knowledge management architecture. When we say knowledge management architecture, it is not the architecture of IT system, or we were not talking about architecture in terms of purely technology. Knowledge management architecture is about organizational resilience. Knowledge management architecture is a number of elements, the basic components which constructs organizations, which brings together people in the organization, which brings purpose together for in the organizations to be achieved. All various multitude dimensions all come together in the knowledge management architecture. Today, this 10 minutes will not be sufficient to get into knowledge management architecture as such, but I'm going to cover part of the knowledge management architecture in terms of what are the common areas of knowledge areas across organization. I worked in various industries, whether it is BPOs, whether it is KPOs, whether it is technology organization, pharmaceutical organization, or oil and gas organization. In most of the organization, these are the four common areas which cut across industries, cut across the scale of the industry, cut across the size of the industry. So it is important that today we look from the team perspective or the organization entity. The next part, yesterday we saw from the individual perspective, how do you start your knowledge management system. Now we are going to look from the team perspective as to what are the essential four common areas which are very, very important in any organization, wherever you are. Okay, so as I mentioned, how do we nurture organization resilience? This is one of the important challenges for every management. This is one of the important challenges for every heads of every department as to how do we make organization resilience. What do you mean by resilience? Resilience is the nature or state of an organization where it develops intelligence, where it understands its constraints, and it understands the market demand, it understands the customer need and wants, and self-evolves to fulfill those needs and the market needs. That's my definition of organization resilience. So we are going to look at some four primary knowledge areas across industries. One of the knowledge areas which is common across is knowledge asset management. Today, when we are talking about knowledge assets, whether we are talking about individual management of knowledge assets is important, whether we are talking about teams knowledge management asset is important, whether we are talking about functions managing knowledge assets are very, very important. Then the other important thing is at the enterprise level and at the domain level and your technology level. Why knowledge assets is so important today? Most of the content, most of the explicit knowledge, what we are dealing is all explicit, is in digital domain. Hence, the basic nature of human is to find this information and access it when we need. So this need to find right information at the right time gives rise to this knowledge asset management. Yes, knowledge asset management is one of the primary knowledge areas where every teams needs to focus, every enterprise needs to focus, every service line or business unit needs to focus. Whether it is a government organization, whether it is academics, whether it is research-oriented organization, whether it's project-oriented organization, whether it's product-based organization, whether it's services-oriented organization, the knowledge asset management is the foundational need of organizational need in this pandemic. That is the first area. The second area is lessons learned. I think I've already mentioned in one of the last conversation about lessons learned, especially when we are talking about how do we tap into crowd intelligence. When we talk about management reporting system, it is all about numbers and feedback. Now, how much feedback goes to the management from various stakeholders, whether it is employees on the ground, whether it is marketing team, whether it's client or customer, how much of this information on the ground is going back to management who is going to make the decision? How much information, how much feedback is going for the key people to take decision? What are the important things? So if you have to tap into this crowd intelligence, whether if you want to manage whether we want to look at the organizational process, whether we need to look at the engineering processes, whether we are looking at the project level good practices. So lessons learned is another important area uh, in every organization and every teams and every functions. It is a must. And the third area which we talked about is community of practice. In organization, there's always few experts, and there are numerous people who join the organization over a period of time. It takes a larger learning cycle to reach that the intellect ability and capability. So it is important that you develop a community of practices where such knowledge sharing is explicitly um, encouraged and also explicitly available for anybody else who needs similar kind of answers. So that becomes your community of practices as one of the important areas. The other important area for every organization, at least in Middle East, is knowledge retention program. When a new joiner joins the company, till the time he exits the company, how do you develop processes which harnesses retention of knowledge time to time, and key tacit knowledges are retained? How it is possible? Right. So this is one of the areas, major areas for every organization which needs to focus on knowledge retention programs. And again, there are a lot of expats moving out. There are a lot of local people joining the organization. How do you create knowledge infrastructure such a way that any individual moves out of a particular role, it has enough knowledge buffer where the new person joins in is able to at least take off the operations, right? So these are some of the four important core knowledge areas. It is applicable to a small startup. It is applicable to large conglomerate. It is applicable to whether it is government organization, even at the national level. If you are looking at the scale of knowledge assets management in terms of case studies, best practices, IP management, in the industry, best practices sharing. So knowledge assets are primarily the next golden mine for every knowledge society. And every knowledge society, if it has to knowledge-based society, sorry, then it is important that they encourage knowledge economies. Knowledge-based economies can only happen when each and every organizations, each and every firm, each and every academics are resilient to the market demand, resilient to the people needs, resilient to the society needs. That's when in the whole organization all forms together to become a stronger knowledge-based economy and stronger knowledge societies. Um, with this message, I want to end this session today. And If you have any questions, you can drop a mail or you can also comment if you have any questions. I will take some of these questions and answer in tomorrow or day after tomorrow sessions. Okay, thank you very much.